videos and the cute stuff and the stuff that's not great quality is always going to be out there, you know, because we have these outlets for people to just publish anything that they want to publish. But the fact that you can publish anything does not mean that people are going to pay attention to anything, and that the quality of your work is going to make you stand apart. And so if you create something that's quality, people will notice and they will tend to listen to it or watch it.
Where do people publish? Did you just load it to YouTube and then link to your blog, or how do you get?
Yeah, you can. So there are all sorts of different ways. So if you're doing an audio podcast, iTunes is fabulous for publishing. It's a great directory, but there are other directories out there. The Zune, any media player has its own searchable directory. So like the Zune media player. There are lots of others.
Yeah, and if you're listening for hosting anything, there's a new service. There's a service called Posterous, Posterous.
Posterous is.
Yeah, if you want to do something very quick and dirty, you can record. I've been sending pictures, all of my pictures that I've been taking directly there.
Yeah.
And it also, if you push something to Posterous, it'll push it to YouTube. It'll push it to Flickr. If it's a picture, it will push a video to YouTube. You don't have to manage a site, you just have to sign up for it and you get a URL. You don't have to figure out where to put your audio or video. It just does it for you.
What's
the name?
Posterous is POS dot. Posterous, it's .us, yeah.
Actually, they changed that now. Now it's posterous.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was it?
It's a great place to just start up. It recognizes audio enclosures, so it automatically it's iTunes friendly. If you want to do even if you want to do a blog and you don't want to spend your time on a fancy blogging system, because the other nice thing that Posterous does, or Posterous as I call it, is you use Gmail to interact with it. You use an email system too.
It's email.
You just email your audio file there, and boom, it shows up.
Yeah, there's this like on a lot of these new smartphones. Like I have the Droid, and it's fabulous. I can take a picture or take a video on my phone, and then pick share, and then it gives me all sorts of different ways I can share, and I can go Gmail, and then it gives me an email interface, and you put in the subject line, you post it to whatever your Posterous, at whatever posterous.com, and then the subject line will be your header for that entry on the Posterous blog, and then you put the content in the body, and you email it, and in 5 minutes or less, that video or that picture is up on the internet just through email.
Yeah. If you go to flashingneurons.decluttering.net, the pictures I've been taking will be there. That will be the front post. All I've done is I just emailed it.
But in sort of a second half to that question, that's sort of technically how to get it someplace.
Right.
But then to be sort of a known published entity, how do you
I still think you have to be on iTunes. I've tried in the beginning. I was like, okay, let's do it without iTunes and see what happens. Doesn't work.
For audio.
Yeah, especially for audio.
Especially for audio, yeah. iTunes really is the big determiner. Huh? Yeah, it is, and that's where people usually go first. Most people have iTunes. I mean, there are other more technically minded people who are really into open source and all sorts of stuff who refuse to use iTunes, but they're in the minority. And if you want, you can also like if you want to do video and not audio, YouTube is the one to go to. And the best thing to do is start an account and you start posting quality videos. Regularity is a huge factor. I mean, if you just post one video every random period of time, people are going to be less likely to count on you for good content.
What's the sort of minimum cycle time? 2 weeks? A month?
I would say make it predictable.
It's predictable. Make it predictable.
Yeah, I mean, our biggest problem, and this is what we've struggled with. So we've been recording for about a little over a year now. We've recorded 30 episodes. So we miss them, and there's no predictable. You can't predict when you'll miss an episode. So that's probably, and this year that's what I like to fix, because definitely, I mean, it's the blogging.
You can't do what the network's doing, just post an old one?
Yeah, well, I wish.
Well, that's the thing, posting an old episode, it's like people are like, hey, wait a minute, that's already in my computer.
Yeah,
I already
know.
downloaded this.
Why do you think the networks have issues?
One thing that's that you could, if you know that you're looking at a project that's going to last, a certain amount of time or even indefinitely, but you don't know exactly what your time frame of release is going to be when you get started, don't actually release it to begin with. Create a library, do a bunch of episodes and play with them before you even release it and publish them to the internet. And then when you're ready, you've got a bunch of content that you can time and you can release, and then you can create new content. And so you're always ahead, and you don't ever have to play catch up, or you don't have to worry about missing a day or something.
And quite honestly, in one way, video is easier than audio. Audio, there's no real sites where you can, Postpress and WordPress and all one place, and you can just
Audio
use a
doesn't
template.
really have.
Yeah, there's no, but in video,
Yeah.
there's so many places to push stuff to. YouTube is a must. Even if you
Yeah.
have your own website, YouTube you have to do. And it's just so much bigger. But you can basically push it to Vimeo, put it everywhere. Push it to Viddler, or every
Wherever.
site, or, every site that exists. Just push it up there because it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, and in terms of video content, if you're interested in doing video podcasts and getting your content out to multiple websites, often what happens is what you want to do is publish and get out to as many websites as possible, because there are some people who are totally dedicated to Vimeo and they only go to Vimeo. There's some people who only watch videos on YouTube. There's some people who only watch videos on Blip TV. So if you want to get a larger audience, what you need to do is start an account at all of these different video publishing websites. But then when you upload a video, it's like, oh, you have to go through each website. But there's a website called TubeMogul, and TubeMogul allows you to input all the different video sites and your password and information, and you only upload once, and they feed it out to all the other sites. So you only have TubeMogul's awesome because you can get
It's like the
mass
friend feed
distribution.
for video or
It's like
something?
it allows you to mass
Customers
distribute.
of mine in my day job, so please use them.
And TubeMogul's awesome if you really, if you want to do things, at a professional level. If you get a pro account with them, they have amazing statistics, and they can really give you a good idea of what you're doing. And they have partnerships with advertisers, and so they're doing some really interesting work. So they're actually a really good company to look at.
So that's just for video?
Yeah, just for
TubeMogul
video.
just for video.
And like Deepak said, they're really for audio. You're on your own. Like
Yeah.
there really is there aren't websites where you just go and upload. It's not the same as
iTunes, it
video.
basically boils down to iTunes, is it? Figure out where you want to put your thing and just point it to iTunes. And iTunes is so dominant. I think that's part of the reason why nothing else came up, because you just couldn't compete with Mr. Jobs and Co.
Yeah.
The comment about TubeMogul's analytics ties into what I was going to ask. Is aside from the comments that you get back from people and the interactions that you have, how do you figure out what works and what doesn't work? And do you do much with analytics and analyzing what
You probably have to do it for are you ad supported?
I am.
Yeah, so you probably have to do it for
Yeah, so, but I pay attention to the stats anyway. Analytics are huge. They're getting better. It's been a problem for the analytics reporting for years, because it's hard to know whether or not someone's like downloaded something twice. And if they're getting if they're at a dynamic IP, maybe they're downloading something and they should count only as one person, but they count it as two for whatever reason. So there are lots of issues with accurately reporting how many impressions, how many times people have heard your content, and how many people are downloading it uniquely. Libsyn.com is where I host all my content, and their stats have gotten a lot better. Libsyn, Liberated Syndication, Libsyn, and they have their hosting is actually really great, because they have a staggered hosting price plan, so that you don't actually pay as much at the higher levels of storage and bandwidth as you would for other companies.
I'll add some more to it. I host my own, and I use a CDN actually to distribute my audio. So a content delivery network. I work at Amazon, so I use S3. I roll my own. Amazon has its own CDN, which is very easy to use. It's the easiest CDN you can find. And I track all of those stats. And the best part you can figure out is, and what helps me is, especially for a podcast like mine, there's a standard 600-700 people who listen to it every time, and there'll be one podcast, and that's always, for example, the first time we interviewed somebody, which we should interview more. It's a great idea. And or one time we had this when we had a very controversial episode where all we did was this synthetic biology, do-it-yourself synthetic biology. That got picked up by the synthetic biology community, and that got listened to a lot because somebody posted it to their. The best thing that can happen to a podcast, especially a niche one, especially in science, if there's a mailing list for that community and you get mentioned there,
That you- yeah.
it just goes through the roof. And so those are the things I track is
Mhm.
changes from the pattern.